Welcome back to another episode of the AA Sports Podcast. My name's Art here with my brother Alex.
What's going on, guys? What's going on?
Alex, we got a big weekend of UFC and boxing coming up. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys subscribe, drop a like, leave a comment, all that good stuff. Let's jump right into it. UFC 262 on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. Charles Oliveira taking on Michael Chandler. Big fight. I think this is a fight that the casuals, I think, will want to tune into. Give me your thoughts on this fight.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a real good one. Charles Oliveira is coming on he's on an 8-fight win streak, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Michael Chandler coming off a big win against Dan Hooker. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, I can't wait to see these guys go at it, man. Definitely at the top of the 155-pound division.
Betting-wise, it's a toss-up. Oliveira is a slight favorite, minus 134. Chandler's a plus 110 dog, so it's pretty much even money. What are your thoughts? A lot of people are talking about Michael Chandler maybe being gifted this position of a title shot, being that he only has one fight in the UFC. How do you feel about him getting a title shot?
Yeah, I think he got gifted the title shot, to be honest.
Do you think he deserves it?
I mean, he deserves it, but I think he did get the Dana White privilege, as Tony Ferguson said in the press conference. But then again, if you look at it, Dustin Poirier took the Conor McGregor payday instead of the title fight. So, maybe Justin Gaethje got left out of the mix a little bit. Who else at 155? Dan Hooker was up there too. So I guess you can't be mad at it. But what does bother me is Tony Ferguson did have 12 fight. He was on a 12-fight win streak,
and he never got that.
And he never got a chance at the title. Yeah. This guy has one fight in the UFC, gets a shot at the title. Wow, good job, Dana.
As like you said, Charles Oliveira 8-fight win streak. Chandler has one fight in the UFC, but I mean, we know in Bellator he was a monster. Who you got? Who you got in this fight?
I'm gonna go with Charles Oliveira. I really think that he's locked and loaded. It's definitely not gonna be an easy fight though. Michael Chandler has that power that he can stiff you in one shot. I mean, he's got that type of that one shot that can just change a fight. But Charles Oliveira has been looking really good in his last couple fights, and it's the way his style, the way he's coming out. He applies the pressure on the feet, and maybe Michael Chandler's not going to be ready for that type of fight. And I think the reason that Charles Oliveira is able to do that, to bring the pressure on the feet, is because he's so good on the ground that if he gets a hold of you, he can use submissions from anywhere.
Yeah.
And one thing that really stood out to me, I hope I get to see these guys grapple, because if you look back, we all know what Charles Oliveira did to Tony Ferguson, who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu under Eddie Bravo, which is 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. And although Tony Ferguson said he didn't, he only trained like 10 days of jiu-jitsu for that camp, or 10 hours or something like that. And it seems like Charles Oliveira is going to be able to, I don't know, I think at least for me, if it goes to the ground, he does a really good job of submission attempts on the ground in order to advance positions.
Yes.
Like if you look back at the Charles Oliveira fight when he fought Kevin Lee, he used a lot of his submission attempts in order to keep Kevin Lee working on the ground. Kevin Lee was constantly worrying about, okay, I can't get stuck in a submission on, and it just in any round. But it seemed like Charles Oliveira didn't use any energy to do that. It just seemed like he was doing a very good job of chain jiu-jitsu, like okay, from one move to the next, and it just seemed like he didn't use any energy. By the beginning of the third round for Kevin Lee, he was gassed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when Charles Oliveira was able to get him in the guillotine. And if you look also in the Tony Ferguson fight, Charles Oliveira as well did a really good job of mixing up his submission attempts in order to keep Tony Ferguson from advancing or getting off of his back. Mm-hmm. There was a if you look back in that third round, Tony Ferguson looks like he's gonna get up from Charles Oliveira being on top of him, and then Charles Oliveira out of nowhere goes for a triangle choke, and then it forces Tony Ferguson to have to get back to try to get out of the triangle choke, and then Charles Oliveira ends up on top of him again. Mm-hmm. So I think he does a really good job of using his submission attempts in order to create openings on the ground. And then for Michael Chandler, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen him grapple as much. Sure. So I really want to see what he's going to do. Charles Oliveira is a third-degree black belt. So I can't wait for this fight. I'm super pumped. And what do you think about this one? Who you got?
I told you earlier, I mean, I've been going back and forth since this fight was announced. Even before this fight was announced, I'm okay with Chandler getting a title shot. But I could see how guys like Ferguson, guys like Poirier, guys like Gaethje should be upset that they're not getting that title shot. Rightfully so I can see both sides. I was a huge fan of Michael Chandler in Bellator. I was rooting for him to beat Hooker. But I've been a big fan of Oliveira also and what he's been able to do in these last 8 fights since his loss to Paul Felder. And he's just been growing and evolving. So this is a real tough fight for me. I think I told you earlier, I like Michael Chandler a lot. I just like Oliveira a little bit more in this fight. I just think he's gonna be able to pull it off, and this is his time.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts on this fight before we move on?
No, I mean, I can't wait for this one. I'm super pumped. I hope we get to see a good fight.
Yes, hopefully. I'm pretty sure we are. Another good fight that's on the undercard that we're gonna talk about is Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson taking on Beneil Dariush. That's how you say it, right? Dariush?
Yeah.
Talk to me about this fight, Alex.
I mean, this one's going to be a good one. I really, if you guys go and look at the UFC 262 press conference, I mean, Tony Ferguson's really laying into Beneil Dariush. I guess Tony Ferguson's on a 2-fight skid. He's, and you have a guy in Beneil Dariush who's coming up. You know, this guy's been on a tear lately. We're gonna find out. I think this is a make 'em break 'em fight for Tony Ferguson, because I mean he loses this fight and boy is it gonna be tough to get back into his spot. Because I mean if I was listening to Chael Sonnen's interview, you guys know how I feel about Chael Sonnen. He sucks, but anyway, I do listen to he is informative on some of his podcasts that he does.
Yeah.
And he says that he picks Tony Ferguson to win in this fight.
Ooh.
And one reason is Tony Ferguson took his camp to Freddie Roach. He's looking to sharpen up his tools on the feet. And what do you think? What do you think about this fight?
Look, Tony Ferguson, I think, and this goes back to before the Justin Gaethje fight. It felt to me like little by little, he was starting to slow down just a little bit. You know, he was on a tear for a while. Everybody was scared of him. Nobody wanted to fight him. And then in his fights, he was just a killer. You know, we saw that Anthony Pettis fight. But then little by little, I think you could see where he started to slow down. And I don't know if maybe it's the activity, it's the amount of time he trains. But to me, right before that Justin Gaethje fight, he started to look a little slower, a little more lethargic. And he came out in that Gaethje fight, you know, good for the first round or two. But then little by little, you could see that the punishment caught up to him. And then same thing in the Oliveira fight. In the Oliveira fight, he looked like he did not have it. And whatever you need, whatever it is, you need that to be champion. And it seems like Ferguson was missing it. Now, he's had some time off to recover. His body's, should be recovered. Let's see what kind of Ferguson do we get. Do we get that Ferguson that was on a tear before Gaethje, that was, waiting for his title shot? He has a title fight scheduled, 2-3 times, and it just fell through. Do we get that Tony Ferguson, or is it still a Tony Ferguson who seems to be on a slow decline? Because Dariush is no guy to mess around with.
Definitely.
And if you don't come at 100, Dariush will take advantage. So it really interesting. This is what they call a crossroads fight. Ferguson kind of on the edge, Dariush on the way up. So they kind of meet in the middle, and this should be a really good fight on the undercard. But I think I'm gonna pick Dariush. I think what I've been seeing from Ferguson, just like I said, it seems to me like maybe his time has passed and his body's, I'm not gonna say it's giving out on him, but it's just telling him that enough's enough.
Yeah, I mean,
it sucks, but that every fighter there comes a time in a fighter's career where it's like, okay, that's enough. And then especially at this high level, you cannot be anything less than 100%.
I'm going to go with Tony Ferguson. I'm going to give him one more shot. Okay. You know what? I've been a big fan of Tony Ferguson for a long time. And I'm not taking anything away from Dariush. I think Dariush is definitely coming up. I think he's a well-rounded fighter. He's good on the feet. He's got good power, and his jiu-jitsu is really good too. So it's the same in this fight. I want to see these two guys go toe-to-toe in the middle. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. Tony Ferguson's talking he's going to slam him and all this stuff. I can't remember when the last time Tony Ferguson went for a takedown.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's something that worries me about Tony Ferguson sometimes, I'll be honest. It's just, he says that he took his camp to Freddie Roach to sharpen up his head movement, get more of a sharper boxing style in there going. But when was the last time he really, it just seems like when he's in that fight, he gets drawn into it and he wants to break his opponent, but he doesn't do it in the smartest way you should. It just seems like he just overwhelms guys with his cardio, but it seems like he's willing to walk through anything. And what happens if he gets caught?
Yeah.
What happens if he just doesn't realize maybe it's something that he just doesn't want to do?
Yeah.
Once he gets in there and his blood's pumping and he doesn't want to move his head or anything like that. I mean, I'm giving him one more shot. I really want Tony Ferguson to win this fight, and I hope he comes through with it.
And he definitely can. And we've seen him. He's innovative. He can beat you off his back. He can beat you, a million different ways. Pull chokes and Darce chokes out of nowhere where you don't even it looks bad for him, and he'll just pull something out of it, who knows where, and get a win. So Ferguson could definitely win this fight. But like I said, I think to me, Dariush, it's Dariush's time right now to make his way up towards the top of that lightweight division. Any fights on the undercard you want to talk about?
Not really. There is some notable names like Kaylin Chikugan. I mean, I've heard of her, but Edson Barboza as well. I just haven't heard of the Shane Burgos guy that he's going to fight.
I'm really interested in that Burgos-Barboza fight.
Really? I haven't even heard of Shane Burgos.
Really?
Honestly, I haven't.
He's ranked number 9 at the featherweight division. So
is he really?
And Barboza at 145 has looked... I think he's looked good. He's been on the wrong end of a couple decisions, but he's looked good to me. So I think that's going to be a really interesting fight. And Barboza's always in an exciting fight. I mean, is Barboza ever in a snooze fest?
Not really.
Other than Khabib.
He's either knocking out or he's getting knocked out.
Yeah, exactly. And then Matt Schnell against Rodrigo Bontorin. Jesus. That's the opener. Let me see if there's anything on the prelims. Oh, Jacare Souza's on the prelims. He's always an exciting fighter. Lando Venata in a 50-50 fight.
I haven't seen Lando in a while.
Antonia Shevchenko, sister of Valentina Shevchenko.
Oh, her against Andrea Lee. That should be a good one.
That should be pretty good.
But I think Antonina Shevchenko will probably take that one.
She's not as good as Valentina, but she's still good.
Yeah, she's still good.
And I think that's it for that card. All right. Moving on to boxing for this weekend.
I hope these dogs aren't interfering in our podcast. Sorry about that, guys. They're protecting their territory, man. I don't know. What are they barking at? First of all,
they bark at anything, dude. Cats, possums.
I was gonna ask
shadows.
I was gonna ask you something. I just forgot what I was gonna ask you. Something relating to UFC. Any big news come out?
There was fights announced.
We're gonna talk about the Nate Diaz. He pulled out of the fight.
Oh, that's right. That was supposed to be on this card. Well, let's talk about that real quick. Nate Diaz, Leon Edwards was supposed to be on this undercard. Apparently, Nate Diaz had to pull out. Was it because of injury?
I guess so. I guess he got a cut on his eye, or
But
I forgot what happened to him.
it has been rescheduled though. I think it's on the Adesanya undercard.
Oh, really?
In June, I believe, June or July, I think Adesanya fights against Marvin Vettori. So that Nate Diaz against Leon Edwards will be on that undercard. But yeah, that was supposed to be this weekend also.
Okay. Oh, you know what I was gonna ask you about? What's your thoughts on that whole Diego Sanchez fiasco?
Dude, Diego Sanchez was my favorite fighter for a very long time. Favorite UFC fighters. The Ultimate Fighter won. He won. He freaking steamrolled his class. He just outclassed everybody. But these last couple fights, he's looked really bad. And now this whole stuff is coming out with his trainer, whatever his name is, Joshua or Fabio.
Joshua Fabian
or something like that.
Fabian.
Yeah, man, that stuff is BS. Have you seen those videos of him chasing him around with a knife and shit?
What?
Dude.
I mean, I just saw the one where he hung a guy with like a slab of meat and kicked him and punched him.
And one of the fighters was hanging by his feet upside down, and the coach is just throwing shots at him. I'm like,
It's
what
ridiculous.
the fuck? Hanging upside down. And then, yeah, like I said, there's a video on YouTube where they're in the octagon and they're like, everything's a knife. And he's literally running around with a knife trying to shank these guys. And these guys are having to dodge a knife attack. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So, yeah, I don't have any comments on that. I just hope Diego Sanchez, is okay.
Well, they're trying to expose Dana White. They're saying that Dana White sent some assassins after them and all kinds of things.
I mean, he's the assassin for hanging people upside down and trying to chase them around with a knife. I don't know. I really don't like that situation. I think there's a lot of how can I say it? Targeting by both sides. They're trying to get Joshua Fabia out of there because definitely his methods are not MMA related or any type of related. It's just weird.
Yeah, they need to get rid of the guy before he kills somebody.
Yeah, before he gets somebody hurt. Did you hear about he told the commission one time before Diego Sanchez fight that Diego Sanchez knew a strike that would possibly kill his opponent. He just wanted to let the commission know.
I think it was called like a death
punch or death strike or something like that.
I think Donald Cerrone told a story on a podcast or something that Diego Sanchez one time said he was in a bar with some guy that Donald Cerrone used to train with, and he told him about that death punch or whatever, and that the guy said he'd beat him up, and I guess the guy that Donald Cerrone trained with or whatever just beat up Diego Sanchez. That's what Donald Cerrone said. I don't know. Donald Cerrone said it, but moving on. I mean, no need to talk about the slab of meat getting hung and kicked, punched, and
that whole situation is really, really bad. And then he made himself look bad in that fighter meeting, Diego Sanchez fighter meeting, where he kind of went off on the commentators. But yeah,
where he started crying about Dana White that he couldn't have a meeting with them or anything.
Yeah,
like that.
he was whining to the commentators, talking shit to them.
I don't know, man. He's looking like he's in a bad place.
Shout out to Megan O'Leary. She fucking straight told him. She told him pretty much that he was not what he thought he was.
Like he's not all there?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Like pretty much everything he's doing is a fucking scam. Moving on to boxing. Luis Nery taking on Brandon Figueroa. Big fight this weekend. Alex, thoughts on Nery versus Figueroa?
I mean, I think this is a really good fight. Both fighters are undefeated. Luis Nery, I believe, is 31-0. Brandon Figueroa is 21-0. I can't wait to see this one, man. This is definitely a good fight to watch.
Yeah, Figueroa is 21-0-1. Nery 31-0. Nery has had some weight problems in the past. I believe he is banned by the Japanese Athletic Commission from fighting in Japan because he missed weight by a bunch one time for a title fight. So we'll see if he's able to make weight for this fight, which I'm pretty sure he is. And Brandon Figueroa is just an all-action fighter. These guys, I believe, are at 118. Yeah, it's just this is going to be a really good fight. It's at the the Dignity Health Sports Arena or whatever they call it. Excuse me, formerly known as the StubHub. So if you guys are in the LA area, make sure you guys go and check that out. They're allowing fans now, so that's pretty cool. Excuse me, they had Andy Ruiz against Chris Arreola there, and it was great atmosphere. On the undercard, Danny Roman is fighting. 16-0 Xavier Martinez is fighting. And then that's pretty much it for that card. Not a super exciting card. I believe this one's going to be on Showtime. So
yeah,
we'll definitely check that out. Any predictions on who's going to win?
I think I got Brandon Figueroa taking it in this fight. I really think he's going to be able to just apply the pressure in a smart way. And I think Luis Nery hasn't fought anybody like Brandon Figueroa. And then vice versa, Brandon Figueroa hasn't fought anybody like Luis Nery, who's, people have been talking Luis Nery up for a while already. It just seemed like he's had a couple of disciplinary issues.
Yep.
You told me he got kicked out of Canelo's camp for whatever reason. Contraband issues.
I don't know about contraband.
Drug related problems. What did he get? Didn't you tell me something that they found like coke in the back of his car or something?
Not that I know of, but probably.
Nah, I'm just playing, guys. But he did have I guess he test positive for something?
Diuretic.
Diuretic. Okay.
Yeah, trying to make weight.
That's what they're saying it is. Okay.
Well, in Japan, that's it. I think he tested negative or positive in Japan. Also missed weight by like 5 pounds or something like that for a title fight. So, dude, but for all the problems that Nery has, he's such a good fighter.
He is.
He is really good.
He's 31-0 with 24 knockouts. You don't get 24 knockouts by being, an average guy.
Yeah, and then, not really disciplined. Imagine if he had a little bit of discipline. Jesus Christ. He'd be really good. But yeah, I think, you know what? I'm going to pick Luis Nery in this fight.
Wow.
Yeah, I think
How come?
Just because he's a precise puncher. And Figueroa, sometimes his defense lacks a little bit. So I think Nery might be able to catch him, hurt him, and then stop him.
You think he'll be able to stop him?
I don't think he will, but I'm just going to...
It sounds good.
I'm going to throw that out there.
What about when Brandon Figueroa got that split decision draw? Did he really get a draw in that fight, or did he win that fight, or did you think it was a draw?
Let me go back to see who it was against.
I think it was like 2 fights prior, or actually just a fight prior. Yeah,
I think that was a really close fight. No, yeah, that was a close fight that could have gone either way. Yeah, so I mean, it's okay. There was no rematch, so I mean, I think when there's not a rematch, it's usually either stay away or you really won the fight and the judges just didn't give it to you.
Okay.
But yeah, any other thoughts, comments you want to make?
No, I think it's going to be a good weekend of fights, and I can't wait to see him.
And then next weekend we have Jose Ramirez against Josh Taylor.
Oh, that's next weekend already?
That's next weekend. I'm excited for that one. But make sure you guys tune in next week for our recap of these fights. And then, of course, we'll have our preview for Josh Taylor or Jose Ramirez versus Josh Taylor. Sorry, it's Ramirez Taylor. Thank you guys for watching this episode of the A Sports Podcast. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Peace out, guys.